or shall we stay on it? Ladies and gentlemen of the Barbados Labour Party, good night and God bless you all. I am here tonight to demand of the Prime Minister of Barbados a full and frank accountability. He may have to wake up first, but he has to deliver a full accounting. He has to do so because we are being forced to exist at a time of great betrayal and deep social injustice in Barbados. I say to you, without fear of contradiction, that 2 years ago, Freundel Stuart came to you, the people of this country, and he pledged that if you reposed your confidence in him, if you trusted him, that he would so superintend the affairs of Barbados's public life that not a single public servant of this country would be sent home. That's what he did. Trust me, he said. The Barbados Labour Party know what they're talking about. The economy is not as bad as the Labour Party would have you believe. Trust me, he said. And I will guarantee you that nobody in the public service going home. A year later, he said, oh, 3,500. Tonight, as I stand before you, it is now abundantly clear that Freundel Stuart's government is in the middle of an accelerated program aimed at reducing the size of the staff across the breadth of the statutory corporations in Barbados. The dastardly plan that he does not part lips to speak to you about is one that would see some corporations disappear, like Beautify Barbados. There will be others that will be merged. They will take national housing and put it together with rural. Get rid of urban, that is one that disappeared. And then, no, they will never touch CBC, that's the propaganda arm. Behave yourself. And then, as you already know, the attrition plan has begun, where if you get age 60, you go along home. However you analyze it, in every case there will be the loss of employment. And for every instance of loss of employment as a result of that great betrayal which is about to be thrust upon you, Freundel Stuart is presiding over more and more jobs going away. Now a man looks at you and tells you, trust me, I will guard your back. I will guard your back. Trust me. He is not, it does not come to your mind automatically that his intention is to avert your gaze, to so position himself and ultimately position you that he can defile you and violate you. When a man tell you, I got your back, you do not feel that the intention is to abuse your back. But that is what, in political terms, has transpired in Barbados. And he doesn't even have the decency to apply a little gel or balm. He is the same man who told you that he wanted government because he wanted to build a society. If you ask Freundel Stuart tonight, Skipper, what kind of society you're building, Freundel Stuart could not tell you. Folks who have children at the University of the West Indies can tell you it is an unjust society, because they have had, without prior consultation, thrust upon them the need to pay, when Freundel Stuart himself told the students they would never have to pay under his watch. People at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital who had to wait for 8 months in the course of the last year in order to get a minor surgery. I have a constituent who waited 9 months in order to get a hernia operated on. No gauze, no surgical equipment, no medication. 9 months. They could tell you that it is an unjust society. And the bedrock of that injustice is the fact that we have begun to accept in Barbados a government in which a few are floating in a cushion of comfort and tens of thousands are feeling pain and deprivation. Now look, my friends, this is a very serious thing. And I'm going to talk to you very seriously. The deprivation that is being felt across this country and the lack of justice has been brushed, glancing blows all night here upon this platform. Time to come to the root of some of the difficulty we're dealing with. When you have UCAL, United Commercial Auto Works, created by a Barbados Labour Party, funded and capitalized by a Barbados Labour Party government, designed so as to make sure that auto mechanics, transmission specialists and so on in this country were empowered economically. The profits of their cooperative effort go to them, the workers. For the first time across this region in the Eastern Caribbean, that UCAL stood out as an example of how you could privatize and at the same time get workers in control of the managerial heights of the business they're involved with. Tonight, as I stand before you, UCAL is $8 million in debt. Instead of the government making sure UCAL gets work, they starve UCAL systematically in order to make sure that the man in Kendall Hill, who is friends with Minister Michael Lashley and the MP for this area, Dennis Law, can get all the work. And I don't call Law name and Lashley name because I care anything about them. The reality about Law and Lashley is that they preside over the largest heavy-duty fleet of vehicles in the public sector of Barbados. And what is unjust is that tomorrow morning 103 people will report for work at UCAL, 130, unsure of whether there's anything for them to do, because the government of Barbados that should be ensuring that they develop the empowerment of the workers of this country has decided that they will starve UCAL of opportunity for growth, starve the workers that manage UCAL of an opportunity for economic empowerment and advancement, and they will hand everything on a platter to their cronies and friends in Kendall Hill. Now, I have no quarrel with the man in Kendall Hill. I ain't know him from Adam. I have told from the shore across the well of the house what I say to you tonight. I did not humbug those folks there in St. James Central to ask them to send me to Parliament because my ambition was to be part of any fraternity for pain and deprivation. I went and humbugged them, not once, nor twice, but 3 times. And in their wisdom, they only sent me twice. They were going to know why they didn't send me all 3. But I went and humbugged them because my intention in public life is a very simple thing. I care nothing about the power. That is a passing thing. I want to see the end and the elimination of pain and deprivation and strife. If that is not what you're in it for, then I really ain't got much time for it. And when you can have a situation like what exists in Barbados tonight, let us understand that Michael Lashley and Dennis Law are not being attacked from this platform because of what they drive. My Lord and Savior went to Jerusalem on the back of an ass. It is good enough for him, then I don't have to envy Dennis Law. What we are speaking to Dennis Law and Michael Lashley about And that which Frondell Stewart must speak to you about is the appearance that a minister is so exercising his ministerial discretion and his ministerial power as to make sure that certain entities are getting all of the government work, and that in exchange for that demonstration of power or abuse of it, the minister is getting a personal benefit. The BMWs represent the appearance of a personal benefit. None of you know of anybody before this group that was in public life driving a luxury car owned and paid for by a company that is getting all of the government work, especially in circumstances when there is a competing entity of similar ability run by the workers of Barbados that getting next kin to nothing. That is the level of public immorality that I will defy anybody to tell me is right. And that is why I am before you tonight, because I deprecate those things. I abhor those things, Frondell Stewart. And you, as Prime Minister Frondell Stewart, must explain to the people the appearance that your ministers are involved in the politics of getting something for something. Now what are you going to do? Huh? It is not a sugar daddy government. And I hear the ignorant talk about how the number plate can change. Well, I don't care if that is low drive XG10 or XG abuse of power or XG exercise of ministerial discretion in a questionable way or XG conflict of interest. My concern is that there needs to be a satisfactory explanation given to you by the Prime Minister that you elected to explain why there is this ugliness in the cabinet over which he presides. Now, I want to say to you that the level of accountability got to go a lot further. I can take my time tonight because I have been asked by she who is the Prime Minister in waiting to walk you through this Cahill deal. Now, ladies and gentlemen, on the 16th of June, Mia Mottley replied to the budget. Tonight is the 12th of July. 29 days have passed, 28, 29. February going, 28, 29 days. So therefore, a month passed. And in the passage of that month, your Prime Minister has not parted his lips to speak to you about a contract which has raised the fundamental matter of public importance of over $700 million in obligations on the part of this government. There is no evidence before this country that the Cabinet of Barbados sitting as a whole approved this contract. The Attorney General of Barbados spoke in Parliament after Mia Mottley raised the issue. He has to this day not been able to deny that he did not approve of this contract as being fit for the purpose. We know beyond a shadow of doubt that the Sanitation Service Authority, which is the statutory corporation charged with the responsibility of dealing with matters of garbage collection and waste disposal, knew nothing of this contract. We know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the Environmental Protection Department has not conducted the necessary tests that would allow them to recommend this as fit to be signed off on. Now, a month after it's raised, Frondell Stewart, who has no respect for you, who was elected by you but treats you with contempt, has not spoken. And in Barbados, when it got to come to the point where you are going to either allow this to continue Or you're going to stand up as people do in other parts of the civilized world and demand better. Knowledge said something tonight that's very true. This is not the first time. Right here in the Caribbean, last year on July the 4th, an upstart parliamentary secretary by the name of Renward Wells took upon himself to sign a letter of intent committing the Bahamas government into a deal, a waste-to-energy deal, for a similar type of project in the Bahamas. Unlike Barbados, there was a media, and still is a media in the Bahamas, that demanded the management, here Ralph Thorne taught this now, he is right, the management of the newspapers and the radio stations allowed their newspapers and radio stations to demand on a daily basis of Prime Minister Perry Christie a full disclosure as to how this upstart parliamentary secretary could presume upon himself to commit the government of the Bahamas by way of a letter of intent on the matter. Well, you know in Barbados now, so I have it yet. You can't hear a word with the advocate management. You can't hear a word out of the people who manage the nation. You can't hear a word, but you will never hear a word on CBC. Forget about that. But beyond that, the citizens, the people, demanded of their government a full disclosure. And you know what happened? Perry Christie had to order a probe, an investigation into the matter. Interestingly enough, in the cabinet of the Bahamas, there was a deputy prime minister who came out and told the public, look, in the name of peace, let me tell you something. I know that these people wanted to have a waste-to-energy plant here in the Bahamas, but I don't know who authorized that man to go and sign it. I am giving you a full disclosure. That's what he did in the Bahamas. There is not a living soul in the cabinet of Barbados tonight who has had the common Christian decency to come to you, the people, and do the same thing. You get them behind closed doors saying, my God, so he, I don't know how this rap, so. He could go and sign that there. And that so idiot that got the running government, well, so. That's how they talk about it behind closed doors. But in front of the glaring light of public opinion, not one of them can find the testicular or intestinal fortitude. Because everybody in the cabinet, to be fair, does not have testicles. Now, coming out of the Bahamas, the man, Renward Wells, was fired. The Prime Minister took action. Renward Wells had to go home. And I ask you tonight, what action has been taken with respect to Chris Sinclair or Dennis Lowe? And if you don't want to touch them because they're elected people, what action has been taken with respect to this man they call Darcy Boyce? If Darcy Boyce was sitting down in that crowd tonight, none of one would know who he is. He never walked, ran, nor trot for a seat. He never knocked on the door and said, look at my hair, I want to beg you for a vote on behalf of somebody else. But he is to be in a position where he can sign away. And not a word is to be said. And we have to come to what he has signed away. Now, I can take my time with y'all because I think the problem in Barbados is that people don't like to trouble themselves to go on and research things. And you all wait for it to be researched for you. There are 2 agreements that have been signed. From the start tonight, I am saying to you from this platform, the time has come where you must give the country a full disclosure of the content of these agreements. We know, because we have had access to a confidential information memorandum set out by Cahill, because Cahill is selling the project. Having made it bankable And I can tell you how to make it bankable. Cahill is now looking to make money off of we and offer our children's future. We are being mortgaged. We are being mortgaged while the government of Barbados says nothing. Now, under the implementation agreement, that's the first agreement, the government has agreed that all the inputs into the project are exempt from taxes. Those inputs include imports of waste. Understand me? Importation of waste, importation of tires, and any other supply items including hazardous waste. So in your Barbados tonight, there is a plan by your government which has not consulted you, that up to even including bringing other people's hazardous waste material, whether it is from the airport, instead of it being incinerated up there, or through the seaport and not being incinerated down there, it can come right down all through here and go down to wherever Park Vaucluse is. And if there's an accident right here at the corner, heaven help you. The contract and the implementation agreement says that Cahill has exclusive discretion. Understand this, no? Cahill has exclusive discretion and exclusive rights over the development of any other waste-to-energy plants in Barbados. That simply means that they have given them a monopoly. Nobody else can come and say, look, I could do this better. I could do it cheaper. I could do it more safely. Cahill and Cahill alone has been given control over your birthright in the land of your birth. Under the power purchase agreement, and that is an agreement under which once the garbage is burnt, you generate electricity and somebody has to buy the electricity. The power underwriter, that's what they call it, the body who will buy, is the government of Barbados, not the Barbados Light and Power. Now I pause to ask you, what on earth would your government be buying electricity from anybody for? Well, they don't want that pole there. They don't want the wires running across it. They don't want any of the assets stretched across the 166 square miles. But the government has involved itself in the direct business of acquiring and distributing electricity. It says the government is responsible only for power sales. It goes on to say that the power purchase agreement has taken effect from the 15th of March 2014. So it is already in place. Your Prime Minister didn't tell you so when he spoke at 10 o'clock in the night and ramble on about Moses, and ramble on about Pharaoh, and ramble on about all sorts of Greek gods and Aristotle and Plato and Socrates. He didn't tell you that the power purchase agreement took place and became effective from the 15th of March last year, and that once every 3 years, Cahill has the right to raise prices to reflect rising costs. And it goes on to say the government of Barbados has agreed that the project outputs, which is electricity, are better than any other form of electricity. So the project enjoys priority rights over any other scheduling. And that means simply that all of you who went and were invited to spend $25,000 and $20,000 to get the photovoltaic panels to put on your house, believing that you could put them on your house and produce electricity and sell it back into the grid. Tonight you're discovering for the first time that you have no priority star. You don't matter, because the garbage people at Cahill is who have the priority of everybody else. And it goes on to say that Cahill is not obligated to have any minimum level of output capacity or to compensate the government of Barbados because of failure to generate. So after all that money spent, if they can't satisfy the level of output you would expect, and you can't get regular current, you compromise the Barbados Light and Power, you compromise the Light and Power's development plan, and the people of Barbados, their homes and their businesses have to suffer. And the Prime Minister of the land believes that it is satisfactory for him to continue to keep his tongue clasped to the roof of his mouth and say not a word to you about these matters. But you should not be surprised, my friends, because the bad governance of which Ralph Thorne spoke is standard fare in this government. When we were, how much time I got there, thing? Good. I am speaking to my neighbors, so instead of 5, give me 7. So I live just around the corner. They must understand something here. Me, I can beg you for 2 more minutes. Me, I told you all. And I sometimes am surprised about the level of complacency and absence of moral outrage in Barbados. Me, I told you all 2 Sunday nights ago that the man, Michael Lashley, when he was Minister of Housing and Lands, presided over a situation in which on the 19th of January 2011, a company called Rufferley Construction was issued a letter indicating that they were being informed by the Cabinet of Barbados that they had the right to build 108 new urban high-rise apartment units at Exmouth in Deacons Road at the estimated construction price of $18 million. Michael Lashley was the Minister of Housing then. 2 years later, Michael Lashley wrote a letter to the National Housing Corporation. He directed the letter to the chairman. He did so on the 18th of March 2013, and Michael Lashley signed the letter himself. He said, "Dear sir, this serves to inform you that at the meeting of Cabinet held on the 14th day of February 2013, Cabinet was informed that Rufferley Construction was financially incapable of undertaking the construction of the 2 high-rise condominium buildings at Exmouth. Cabinet has instructed that given the status quo, National Housing should enter an agreement with another contractor. In the circumstances, I am instructing you as chairman of the board of directors to enter a contract on behalf of National Housing and BJ Investments Limited." Well, that is Mr. Biercom Company. So Michael Lashley wrote a letter, or signed a letter, that was directed to the chairman of NHC, saying to the chairman of NHC, "Don't worry with Rufferley and the $80 million contract. Them can't perform. You got to give this here to Mr. Biercom." And the permanent secretary in the ministry. I know it appears to have good government, good governance. Even if the ministers can't be relied upon, we have excellent public workers. That's why the union got to defend them, man. Because without them, this thing would crumble like a pack of cards. The permanent secretary wrote on the 5th of April 2013 and said, "This matter of an award of the contract for the provision of high-rise apartments at Exmouth continues to baffle me, to say the least." He directed this note to his deputy permanent secretary. "In my opinion, it has reached an untenable state, such as might now cause a large degree of embarrassment. Please reference Minister Lashley's letter of February 18, 2013 to the chairman of the board of the NHC." That's the letter when he said to give the contract to Biercom. "And liaise with the Cabinet Office, please, and let us have a copy of the confirmed minutes of the Cabinet for our own records. On receipt of that, we can then formulate an approach to the Minister for his further directions." You know, the Deputy Permanent Secretary, right back, I tell the Permanent Secretary, I spoke to the Senior Executive Officer of the Cabinet Office today with respect to the purported Cabinet decision of February 14, 2013 on this matter, and I inquired when the Ministry of Housing might expect to receive a copy of the alleged Cabinet decision. He informed me that there was no actual cabinet decision with respect to this matter, and that the minutes of the cabinet meeting only indicate that the then minister provided the cabinet with an update. Now, from the short, this documentation suggests that anybody who can read and understand English, that your minister either negligently or falsely misrepresented a decision of the cabinet. It further suggests that he issued instructions to take actions in favor of the particular company on the basis of a cabinet decision that did not exist and was never made. Who is being held liable, Prime Minister? Prime Minister, you cannot remain silent when a pop kite, as me call him, a renegade, as I would call him, takes under himself to do what the hell he feel like, because the NHC is not Michael's public purse. It is the government's and the people's public purse. It isn't Michael's piggy bank. And there are consequences in the civilized world for this kind of behavior. And Prime Minister, it will not work like how you say with Plico, that nobody then tell you and pass you the thing to read, where everybody on every bus in Barbados, they talking about it, I had seen it, I know about it. It will not work like how you say with respect to the union, or nobody and refer the matter to me, when every human being in Barbados know about the matter and discussing it. Prime Minister, if you want the documents, I am sure Mayor will allow me to give them, put them in an envelope and deliver them to Bay Street for you. But you have to deal with this matter. It is wrong. It is untenable. A permanent secretary, no less. A deputy permanent secretary, no less, we can't get high in the system, are expressing their concerns about the way in which government departments are being mismanaged. Your taxpayers' money and mine. And these reptiles take upon themselves to behave as though Barbados is awash with finance. We are in hardest of hard times. Thousands going home. People lying in the hospital tonight don't know what future is, not because the doctor ain't competent, the doctor ain't able because he ain't got the wherewithal. Sufferation is on the land. Pain and deprivation. And every time the Labour Party holds a meeting, we can demonstrate to you, time and time again, that these people are playing footloose and fancy-free with your money, without accountability. I don't give a damn what the car number is of the vehicle Michael Ashley drive. I am not like Indar. Mine pay for, it is 8 years old. It's still working. It can still get me to town and back up. It's worth about $20,000. If I polish it up good, a girl might still look at me. So I care. I don't need an X5. Never will need one. I will never drive one of them. But I can tell you, that may be more handsome than this, so I wouldn't need one, that's true. But the point is I will never drive one. But what I'm trying to say to you is this: it can't be public life for what you can position yourself to benefit from. It has to be public life for how you uplift the people who pay taxes to send you to school. That's what it's about. And ladies and gentlemen, I am getting fed up with a Barbados in which all of we are walking on a bed of nails, while these few people and their cronies, their right-hand men, getting out licking out the fat of the land. David Thompson warned you that he was about the fatted calf, but I don't feel even he believe that they can eat the whole farm. I then, me and Motley gonna talk. Good night.